So this is a fascinating short film. Where did the idea come from?
So the idea for Monkeys came from the writer, Clark Schaefer. So he, at some point, his mother asked him, do you believe in God? What's your religious beliefs? And he says, I believe that there's a monkey on each shoulder, one good and one evil. And she said, okay, that's interesting. And a couple years later, for a Christmas gift, she gave him two little pewter monkeys. And he was really touched by the fact that she remembered that comment. And so that's where like the initial idea came from. And then I think it was, just based on some of his life experiences with addiction, not his own, but people he had known. He just kind of came up with this story from there.
Now, tell me about the character. There's basically just two characters in the film, but it seems like there's just in different perspectives.
Yeah, you could think of it as two characters with different perspectives. I think some people think of it as 6 characters. I think of it as 2 characters and the different sides of the self. So the self that wants to destroy you, that wants to bring you down, that wants to tell you that you're worthless and you'll never do anything right. And then the self that's saying, no, actually, you're good enough. You're not just good enough, you're great. And it's worth it to keep living another day and to keep trying to be the best person you can be.
Now, your character is pretty intense. I mean, you're all over the place in the film. I mean, was that a difficult challenge?
It was. In some ways it wasn't, because for me as an actor, I really enjoy accessing the sort of darker, more emotional stuff. It's something that that is just kind of part of my toolkit, something I know how to do. But a way that it was challenging is that the character is not that far from who I could have been if I didn't take some different turns in my life. About 10 years ago, I started making different choices that led me to where I am today, but I very much could have been in her place and came close to being in that place in my life in the past. And so spending weeks living in that character was painful, for sure. And so when I watch the film, I kind of get this little stab, like, oh, yeah, I know what that feels like. So it was challenging, but it was a great challenge. And I had so much support with my director / co-actor / partner, Christopher Soren Kelly. He's really wonderful and really supportive. And of course, Clark, the writer and executive producer.
So basically, you personally had, we could say, monkeys telling you stuff too, right?
Yeah, and I definitely tended to listen to the bad monkey more. Now I tend to lean towards the good monkey. But yeah, now I did. I'm very familiar with that like negative voice that's telling you that nothing you do is going to be good enough. And I think a lot of creative people in general have that experience. And so that's why the meditation, I'm a meditation teacher and a meditation practitioner. That's why that's so important, because as someone who puts themselves out there in a creative way, I really need that balance. So,
of course, the other character was portrayed a little bit more religious, as he basically chants all these different mantras through that, which is quite different from where you are going into, like the bathroom, locking yourself in and contemplating things.
Yeah, so Chris's character, Gimme, had maybe a year or two earlier gotten sober and began to change his life, and part of that involved a spiritual path and a spiritual awakening, in his case, Christianity. And he really, when there was a crossroads, he really went the opposite direction of Lila, but is still on very shaky ground, kind of has some OCD, is very anxious, and so, he probably has some healing still yet to do as well.
Tell me about developing the chemistry with Chris, trying to get through this process.
So we actually are together. We live together. We've been together for about 5 years. We met on set for another project, and we rehearsed the sex scene. On our own. We did that privately. And then actually when we shot it, some of those, shots, the DP was like in bed with us. But for some of them, like the one that's way up high on the jib, we cleared the set. It was just the two of us. And because we're very comfortable with each other, we know each other very well, and we just do have natural chemistry already because, we're together. That wasn't that challenging. I think, it's interesting to work as a team, a filmmaking team, co-acting team, producer-director team, and also be in a relationship. There's a lot to balance there, and we're still together, so I guess we did okay.
Was there anything uncomfortable during this production for you personally?
Well, certainly, delving into this dark character who is dealing with themes that I myself dealt with, that is a challenge, because I'm not a method actor. I'm not someone who's like, I'm going to go and shoot up heroin because I'm playing a heroin addict. I work a different way, but because this character was so close to home, there was sort of that gray area. And I will tell you, when we wrapped, I felt as if like a weight had been lifted off of me. I was like, oh, I don't have to be in that anymore. Other than that, the challenges of producing and acting. I mean, on a low budget film, which this was, a low budget film, being a producer and being an actor and needing to wear both of those hats is challenging, but a fun challenge. The day that we shot most of my stuff, I just took my producer hat off, and I'm just an actor today, and that's what I need to do in order to make sure that I'm giving the best performance I can.
Now, why was the perfect outlet to be a short film rather than a feature film? I mean, we could have gone in many different directions as a longer film, but you went with the short film.
So the short it's hopefully a vehicle and a calling card for all of us, something we can use to kind of give out to people who might want to cast us or people who might want to finance the next project, things like that. But we actually are in the process of developing a feature version with these characters. So Clark is working on that. I just read a draft the other day. It's not at the top of the list. We have a couple other projects that are coming up before that, but it's definitely in the making. So making a short, it can definitely be helpful to show that to someone and say, look what we did with this amount of money in this amount of time. Why don't you give us some money? We'll make a feature. So that's one reason why.
Is the monkey tattoo real?
No, where was it? It was back here. No, yeah. No tattoo. I don't have any tattoos, actually. That was actually a challenge. I absolutely hate, as a producer, I hate fake tattoos on films. It's so hard to get them right. They're such a pain in the butt. So on a feature I'm in pre-production for right now, one of the actors wants tattoos all over his neck, and I'm just like, no. It's so hard to get it right.
So what do you hope that the audience would take out of watching Monkeys?
One thing I hope they would take is that there's always the next moment. There's always the next moment when something different can happen, right? So we can be in a place where we feel like nothing's ever going to get better. There's never going to be a light at the end of the tunnel. But if we can just, be here for the next moment, something different could happen. And if we can be here for the next moment and not be attached to that evil monkey, to that voice, and instead open up to the possibility that things actually could change and could evolve in a positive way, we have the opportunity to have a new experience.
Well, it sounds like you listened to the good monkey because you're here now.
Yes, absolutely.
You hinted on some of your future projects. Could you just basically talk us into wrapping with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So Christopher Soren Kelly, who was the director, editor, actor in Monkeys, and then Clark Schaefer, who is the writer and executive producer, and I are in pre-production for a feature. It's a lyrical sci-fi. We're shooting this summer. It's called The Tangle, and the other actor we have already set up to be in that is Joshua Baton. He's a tremendous actor. He was in Chessor, our last short. He was also in The Pacific, the miniseries on HBO. He's really, really great. So we're all working together to make this micro-budget, high-concept feature. And then I'm also in development pre-production for a psychological thriller with a very talented, very creative woman, Amanda Lovejoy Street. She's the writer and director, and I'm producing, and we're going to act together. That's about all I can say about that project. I'm very excited about it, though.
Well, this actually sounds terrific. I mean, you sound very busy with everything, and I want to wish you good luck. And you've shown a lot of acting range in this short film. I mean, it's only 10 minutes long, but you showed everything.
Thank you so much. Thanks for watching it, and thanks for taking the time to talk with me.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.